Alright, we're going to finish out today with this one. I don't normally do these kind of videos, but this one I couldn't help but click on and pick here for this one when I saw the title. Florida deputy watching porn crashes patrol car. So this would be a great way to end our Friday here. I figure we can have a laugh while watching this stupid cop who... We'll see. From the title, it sounds pretty great.
A Florida police officer is off the job after he crashed his patrol car while watching, let's just say, things he definitely should not have been watching at that time. Newly released body cam footage shows the deputy's reaction to the accident, and an internal investigation report shows he came clean before resigning. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. 28-year-old Tristan McComber was a deputy with the Lake County, Florida Sheriff's Office, and he apparently crashed his patrol vehicle into the back of another car that was stopped for a school bus. And after that, what did he do? He subsequently decided to quit instead of being fired. Now you might be saying, wait a second, Jeff.
I mean, at that point, I would be too embarrassed for what I was doing and then what I was doing and what it caused that I would quit too. Yeah. I would quit, I would leave states, and I would leave the area so that I could go try again in a different police department and not make that mistake ever again and hope that it doesn't ever resurface over there. Be one of those things where it's just like, hey, I know that happened, it was a little screwy, let's kind of ignore it. But that was me if I were him.
Accident, right? Why would he quit over this? You see, the fact that he crashed isn't the reason he was the subject of an internal investigation. No, it's because of what he was doing just before the accident. And to talk more about that, I'm going to bring in Alexis Rosenberg, trial attorney, federal litigator, to talk more about this. Thanks so much for coming here on site.
Plastic surgery. This is why you leave your face natural, ladies. So you don't look like this. If I had to guess, this lady looks like she's about to enter her 60s, maybe even about to retire, maybe 60, 65-ish.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before I get your reaction to all this, I want to play a little bit of the body cam video. So the audio doesn't come in until just after McComber rear-ends the car, but you can tell he has something in his right hand, and that looks like a phone.
Not only are you watching porn while on the job, as a police officer, while driving your car, but you're doing it with your body cam on. I mean, I'm glad he had his body cam on so we were able to see this wonderful, hilarious, stupid moment he made, but, you know, maybe don't have your body cam on while you watch porn and crash your cop car while you're on the job.
Therefore, 911 assist call will not be made by sync.
You know, maybe just don't do that.
Attention, 911 assist is turned off. Therefore, 911 assist call will not be made by sync.
2980 counting 65 signal 4.
You can tell by the tone he was embarrassed to put that one in.
You can use Creston and County Road 435. I'm going to be involved. There's going to be signal 16.
Bro, you were the one who caused this. What do you mean, son of a bitch? Like, the only son of a bitch here is you. You're the one who caused the flippin' accident.
10-4.
So this accident happened back in November in Sorrento, Florida, around 1:30 in the afternoon.
Of course it's a Florida.
Then Deputy McComber hit the other car hard enough to deploy his airbag, which of course would leave anybody disoriented. But he gets out of the patrol car and eventually reaches down to pick up, again, his phone from the floorboard.
Gosh darn it.
Don't be on your phone while you're driving, and especially don't be watching porn on your phone while you're driving. And I got one more thing here. Why was his seatbelt not on? Obviously it wasn't. It's buckled behind him. I know he didn't buckle it when he got out of the car. That's not something you do, especially when your car is obviously freaking totaled because it's airbag deploy. And I bet you the police department will just replace the squad car rather than have it be fully repaired and sent back into the field. It'll just go to the junkyard. Like, this dude was breaking multiple laws on his phone while driving, distracted driving. He was not buckled up. Like, click it or ticket law. Like, this dude shouldn't be anywhere near a law enforcement related career.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Of course he's good. He crashed his car. That's the car he hit? Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Are you okay? I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
My brakes locked up.
Okay.
You good?
Oh,
Like, oh my God.
your brakes locked up. Is that what was locked up? Well, I'm glad you could say that to her to make yourself feel better for this moment.
Asleep. Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Do you just want to pull up right here?
I'm glad no one's hurt heavily, but man, this officer.
Here for more? Okay.
Just to make sure you're out of the turn lane.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're out of the turn lane.
You could hear McComber say that his brakes locked up, seemingly blaming that for why he couldn't stop in time. And we don't know if the driver...
But that's an easy thing to test, because modern cars have the computers that can say what was last happening when the accident occurred. If the brakes were being pushed down, it would record
that car was injured in any way, but she appeared to be conscious, alert when McComber was talking with her. So, Alexis, let me bring you in here. You know, what's your reaction to that video? First thoughts.
When you first look at the video, you're not really sure what he's grabbing for, the movement. You really have to focus in on the video to see, as you mentioned, that there's a phone that he is grabbing for. So you don't know that he necessarily was doing anything inappropriate.
And we will get into what seemingly really did cause this crash, and oh boy, is it something. But before we get into that, his reaction, disoriented, he's relatively calm considering he knows he's at fault for what just happened.
He knows, and I'm glad he didn't try to put the blame on anything else other than him and / his car locking up.
Happened though, right?
Well, he knew what he was doing, even though it wasn't at first glance so evident in the video. But he definitely knew, which we later find out, that he was doing something inappropriate. He should have been doing that. As well as in the video, we can see that he jumped out of the car, and it doesn't appear he had his seatbelt even on.
Hey, yes, I'm glad someone else caught that one.
More. So McComber had radioed into dispatch. An investigator came out to document the scene. According to an internal report, McComber told officials that he had just finished up a phone call with another deputy when he'd seen the sedan stopped in the road for a school bus on the other side of the street with its lights flashing. He claims the brakes on his patrol car locked up. And McComber also told officials that the ABS light on his dashboard had been lit up since he had some calibrations done on the speedometer.
Oh,
Here
is that
is
what
the
happened?
problem with that. An investigator looked back at that body cam video that we were just playing you and saw that McComber was looking at something on his phone when he crashed. So what was he looking at? Well, let's start with this. So we got our hands on the internal report, which details how an investigator followed up with McComber the day after the crash to ask him about the fact that you could see he was looking at something on his phone. It reads, quote, DS McComber advised me that he was traveling behind the vehicle and had just finished a phone call with DS Hoffman. He went on to say that he was scrolling through text messages on his phone from a group text with his Sector 3 colleagues just prior to the crash. He stated he was not sending text messages when the crash occurred. After speaking with DS McComber, I reviewed the videos again. DS McComber's right hand comes down into view of the body-worn camera, and you can see the screen of the cell phone. On the screen of the phone you can see that DS McComber is viewing a picture or a video at the time of the crash, and he was not scrolling through text messages. Upon further review, you can see DS McComber exit the patrol vehicle at approximately, and it gives the timestamp there, and there is no evidence of him removing his seatbelt.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I caught the seatbelt one.
Into his patrol vehicle, and you can see the driver's seatbelt is latched and tied against the seat. It appears that the seatbelt was latched behind his back and not being utilized at the time of the crash. So then the investigator follows up with McComber's usual supervisor, who told him there were no videos or photographs in the group chat between him and the other Sector 3 members like McComber had said. So at this point, McComber is written
now
up
he's in
for
another
3
lie.
violations of department policy. One is
That 3 department violation policies should be an automatic fire. I don't care how low level they are. You shouldn't be violating your department's policies. You should be doing everything right all the time. A seatbelt is one that I could say, okay, if you're in certain situations, wave, but still, be safe. Be safe.
departure from the truth. Another is certain use of electronic handheld devices prohibited, and another is use of safety belt. So the first, departure from the truth, is because he said he was viewing text from the group chat when it was clear he was looking at some sort of image. It wasn't the group chat. And they don't even know what exactly those images or image is as of yet. Now, as we wonder whether or not Mr. McComber may need a great lawyer, let me tell you about Law&Crime's exclusive personal injury law firm attorneys. You know what?
Whoop.
First, let's just say liar, liar, pants on fire. You would think he would know better. Also, he knows the policies and procedures, and he knows that if there's an accident in a police car, that they are going to go back, do an investigation. They're going to look at body cam. They're going to look at dashboard cam.
It would have been so much better for him if he had his body cam off, but thank you, BLM, for holding both cops and criminals accountable. This is the one thing I say I love from BLM is body cams being mandatory for every officer nationwide. Because, yeah, most of the time, the cops is the winner on those. But this time, no. Not at all.
I just don't even see how he thought he was going to get away with this. But I mean, now that videos are so prevalent and that we have them so many times in court cases and investigations, workers' comp investigations, they're so prevalent, you should just assume they exist, because that is really going to speak volumes. If we didn't have that, nobody probably would have even suspected that this was anything but what he was saying.
Yep.
Yeah, and talk to me about the violations, because my understanding is even if he hadn't resigned, and we haven't even talked about what was on the phone yet, if he hadn't resigned, just the fact that he wasn't wearing the safety belt, was looking at something on his phone, was not being honest, that would have been grounds for him to be fired, right?
It would, but most police departments have a union, and there is a pretty long and in-depth policy and procedure to enable them to actually be fired. A lot of times we'll hear they're put on administrative leave during an investigation. So a full-on investigation in those processes, his due process he would have a right to. So it wouldn't be simply that they did those violations and then they would turn around and say, fire him the next day. But based on what we know from this video and what has come out, and it does appear that they do have a valid reason for termination.
Oh, 100%.
So now we go back to the investigative report, okay? And it states on November 12th, 2024, DS McComber was served with his subject officer notification and given a copy of the officer's Bill of Rights. On November 19th, this detective received a copy of the Sector 3 text group messages for the date of the crash. The group's text messages contain no memes or videos. Again,
well, that means he was definitely looking at not the group chat when he crashed.
that he wasn't being honest about what he was looking at. On November 20th, 2024, this detective met with DS McComber at the Office of Professional Standards to complete an interview. DS McComber was given time to review the case file prior to any questioning. DS McComber was read his administrative notification and he agreed to tell the truth. Real quick, Alexis, this is all to show that he has his due process rights that are being adhered to, right? You know, he's been given notice, he's been given a copy. That's what this is all about, right?
Correct. So they're following the procedure in order to be able to ultimately, if they make a determination, terminate him appropriately.
Got it. Okay. So now it goes on to say, D.S. McComber stated that he was on the phone with D.S. Hoffman prior to the vehicle crash, but he was on his personal phone after that phone call looking at inappropriate pictures. D.S. McComber was asked to clarify what he meant by inappropriate pictures, and he stated pornographic material like boobs or whatnot. It actually says that, like boobs or whatnot. D.S. McComber stated he was looking at images that contained nudity. Alexis, the cat's out of the bag. This member of law enforcement was allegedly looking at porn when he crashed the car. Does it get any worse than that?
Gotta say, this is a funny, fun one for today. I couldn't resist not including this when I saw it pop up into my feed. I won't normally include much law and crime stuff or things of this nature on this channel, but this one was just too funny to not include.
Looking at boobies while I crashed the car.
I crashed my car because I was looking at boobies. I
mean, there's so many things wrong with this. He, like you mentioned, he doesn't have the seatbelt on. He's looking at porn. He's not paying attention. Ultimately, he hits a car that was stopped for a bus. So we're at a bus stop or in a school zone.
Yeah, and that's the other one that I almost forgot about, is that there was a school bus, like, within 50, 100 feet of his accident here. Like, some kid could have gotten hurt. Like, the person who was waiting for the bus could have been a parent, distracted, looking over at the bus, making sure their kid's okay, getting off the bus, and then all of a sudden, bam, they get rammed into their back end, and oh, what hit me? Oh, it was a police car. Well, at least I know I'm fine. It's probably what that lady said was, I know I'm not at fault. He smacked into me. She was probably thrilled just to have an easy case to get all the damages covered and everything. But man, this one's just wild.
He's not following, it appears, like any of the policies that he is mandated to do it, and has no concern for public safety either.
And what's scary is he could have killed someone. He really could have killed someone. We talk about distracted driving all the time. You mentioned to me prior that she could theoretically have a lawsuit against the police department.
Oh, she could easily have an easy lawsuit against the police department.
She most likely is going to. Hopefully she wasn't hurt.
If she doesn't get a lawsuit against it, then she just left easy check on the table from the city there that 100% he caused that. It was his fault. Whether she sues the city or sues him, she definitely has a case.
But I'm assuming because the airbags deployed that there was a decent amount of damage that was done to both of the cars, because the deployment of the airbag does require a certain amount of force. So at a minimum, the repair of the car, more injuries that she possibly sustained, or anybody else that may have been in that car could have sustained, there would be potential lawsuit against the police department.
Now, in his interview, McComber continued to talk about the ABS and the traction control in the patrol car, reiterating that the lights came on.
That definitely is all lies. He was bullshitting
on after the speedometer calibrations he had just done. But D.S. McComber, quote, stated the information in his report concerning the ABS and traction control lights being on was more of a deflection than a genuine reason for the vehicle crash. D.S. McComber stated that he had those lights come on before in his other department-issued vehicles, and there had never been a problem with the brakes before this incident. D.S. McComber advised he never tested his brakes prior to the vehicle crash that day, even though he had plenty of time and distance to do so before the vehicle crash.
Not an excuse.
Alexis, what do you make of that?
Not an excuse.
I think it's interesting that he decided at this point that he was going to be truthful when he was going down that road of lies. I think that it's possible that there was some sort of talk or agreement that he would resign and admit to his wrongdoings. I just think for him to come clean at this point, there may have been something else going on there.
And McComber, of course, knew.
I wonder if he was maybe afraid of the girlfriend, wife, whatever is the other person he's standing with in those photos. I'd assume wife, but I'm wondering if he was afraid of what his wife's reaction to him being fired from his job for crashing his police car while having 3 policy violations of the department because he was watching porn. Like, if I were his wife, I would not be a happy individual. That would make me a very, very mad person. If I was the relationship there, it would be borderline divorce at that point, because that's just too big of a screw up. You'd have to really sweeten the pot to get me to stick around after that. Like, now you got to find a new job. Now you probably have to find a different career path. Now we're going to be short on money in the household for a bit. And, what if it was a single income and you were the only income we were relying on, and now we don't have it? Like, there's so many other things that as the other half of his house that it's like, no, this is unacceptable.
He was being dishonest in his report because he told the investigator, D.S. McComber stated that he knew he was looking at inappropriate pictures, which was the leading cause of the crash, and he deliberately left that information out of his report. He stated that it's called lying by omission, and he further said
crash. No, there's nothing there.
Knows that one all too well. I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but my gosh, what are we talking about here? And it says,
Jesse, normally the stories you cover are a lot more darker, so laugh. This is a good one. This is a happy one. This is one of those moments where you can be happy you have the job you do, and you get to cover wacky things like this, and it's not all, oh, another child got attacked and was very injured by someone who shouldn't have been out on the streets, or whatever. And it's like, come on. This is a fun one. Laugh at it a little.
D.S. McComber was asked about a meeting with Sergeant Walls and what they discussed. He was explicitly asked if he lied to Sergeant Walls when he said he was looking at text messages in the Sector 3 group chat, and he said, yes, sir. D.S. McComber further stated that he knew he was lying to Sergeant Walls during their conversation. D.S. McComber was asked about wearing his seatbelt during the vehicle crash, and he stated he did not. He stated he believes it more tactically sound not to be seatbelted while...
That doesn't matter. What if while you're driving 60 down the highway trying to get to a scene real quick, all of a sudden, what if someone's like, I hate cops, and turns right into the side of you? Now you're crashing at a high speed with no seatbelt to hold you in. You could die. Don't ever take this cop's approach to anything. Even if you become a cop, always buckle the fuck up.
On patrol, he stated that it has been his standard practice to not wear a seatbelt, but he knows he should do so according to policy and state statute. Alexis, by the way, talking about potential charges, could he be fined under Florida law for not wearing a seatbelt?
He should be.
He could be fined for not wearing a seatbelt. Also, he could be charged with, hindering an investigation because he was lying during an investigation, lying on, public records under oath. If it was under oath when they were doing this investigation, I'm not quite sure. So there are things.
Yeah, I think his career in law enforcement is over. The only thing he might be able to do is a jail guard.
Things that he could possibly be charged with. The likelihood is that he most likely is not going to be charged with them, and it was part of the agreement having to do with him resigning. Now, that being said, in Florida, ultimately, it is the state attorney and not the police that determine whether someone's going to officially be charged with a crime and what that official charge would be. But the likelihood is that this isn't going to go any further. My concern is, though, how many other times has he lied or not followed procedures?
Yeah, he's so easily lied here over and over and over. It's like, how many policies of the department did he violate before? Has he, did he lie on his application getting the job in the first place? What all has he lied about? If lying came so easily to him right there, where he came up to the person he hit and he's like, sorry, my brakes locked up. Even though he fully knew I was distracted driving. He didn't have to say what happened. I was looking at porn. He could have just said, I was distracted driving. I'm sorry I hit you. We'll get this all sorted out. Okay? And then that would have been the end of it. And she probably would have been like, yeah, perfect. We'll get it fixed and taken care of. And the lady would have had nothing, she might have even felt comfortable enough not to have any lawsuit. He was he came out, he was truthful, honest with her. He didn't try to mislead or anything, but no, he did exactly all those things. He lied. He tried to mislead that it was the car and not him. He tried to cover his tracks and cover his butt, but he covered his butt with holy jeans.
Previous to this incident, because he seems to have a complete disregard. He knows he's been trained on what they are, and he doesn't care. He's pretty much doing whatever he wants to do.
Let's talk about that for a second. Are you saying that in cases of police misconduct, that they're old cases that might not even be related to this, where he testified, where he investigated something, they could be reopened by defense attorneys and say, we can't trust this guy anymore, this whole case?
100%. Any case he's ever been in the courtroom for because he had someone who wanted to fight the ticket or whatever, yeah, now he's a liar. He's been proven to be a liar in every single case he's been a part of, could be called up for question. I'm not saying all of them should be, but, many of them probably should be at this point. At least anything that was not 100% guaranteed. Not 100% guaranteed to be, accomplished by some things. What is your deal today? Did you just want my attention? I got a couple more minutes here, okay? Then we can play. All right.
This is tainted. Is that something that defense attorneys could be looking at right now?
I think that going backwards is probably won't go that open. I don't think it's going to be a basis necessarily to reopen, because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt and he's looking at porn while driving, reopening past cases. But I do think that
yeah, definitely a wife. No. Girlfriends do that, but there's a ring on that finger, and that's very wifey energy leaning into
credibility
him. So,
issue on cases
that
going
question.
Forward, which he would have to testify on. Could possibly let it in, because it does go towards honesty and his credibility, and letting that in and saying that what he says and what is contained in previous reports may lack credibility.
Yeah. Well, in conclusion, the report states D.S. McComber admitted to knowingly lying in his original report. He also admitted to lying to Sergeant Walls about the incident. D.S. McComber stated he was looking at pornographic material on his personal phone just before the vehicle crash. He further advised that he was not wearing his seatbelt during the vehicle crash, which was his standard practice. And so McComber was facing termination, instead decided to resign. And he had been on the force since 2021 when the sheriff had
he had a good
welcome
3.5, 4 years on there.
On the department's Facebook page. Alexis, thanks so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate your insight. What a case to talk about. This was not one that I was prepared for, but really appreciate your insight as always.
It's not a case I'm very prepared to hear on this channel. Usually this channel is covering a lot of the darker side of things. Usually it's someone got murdered, someone was kidnapped, someone, kids were in danger, and it's like there's a lot worse that usually this channel covers. So it's good to see a more lighthearted story pop up in here. But I guess I have to go entertain a cat. You guys have a wonderful day. Subscribe to me. Subscribe to Law and Crime if you're into this kind of content. And we'll have a fantabulous day. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. Goodbye.